All right, we are back. Jason, patch overview time. New month, new stuff.
Summer update.
Patch is coming tomorrow, 7.1, and with it, a new journey. Like we've been teasing this since Friday, so you probably saw something on playgwent.com. What can it be?
Yeah.
There's a fireplace.
Tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we finally get our hands on it.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
excited about it. Definitely journeys are something we want to experiment with the kind of content in it, add more interesting things. We don't always want to approach it the same way. And I think what's interesting about this journey is we approached it instead of like the armor always getting better. It's variants, yeah, it's different styles, and I think that you guys should be able to find some really cool style that's really to your liking with this team.
Exactly, and if you want to learn more about the changes when it comes to rewards, we had a post a couple weeks ago on the forums on Play Gwent and also on Reddit, so you can find the post and see kind of differences as to how everything has changed since the first iteration. Because Jason, you can probably say like we learned a lot from the first journey, didn't we? Yeah,
but I mean, also, you know, when you're working on a feature like Journey, or even any feature that's of substantial size, it's easy to end up in a trap where you can never release it because you're never happy with it.
Yeah, true.
Right? Because there's always something that you think you can do better, or that you want to do better, and at some point you just have to launch it. And I think it was kind of important for us to see how this kind of content appeals to you guys, how it works. So, you know, we definitely released Journey with some bugs that are really unfortunate, more than I had hoped and more than we expected. Hopefully this one goes much more smoothly. Fingers crossed. Maybe I'm just jinxing us right now. But we're definitely trying to learn from our past mistakes, and we're also taking this time between journeys to, you know, polish the UI, do a bit more with it, you know. There'll be some small improvements, but they're not everything. Like there's a larger list of things we'd like to do with journeys in general, but you know, it takes time. We're doing a lot of stuff at the same time as a team. We don't want to put all our eggs in the journey basket, but definitely we are going to continue to polish, improve it, and some cool new stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Journey will be something that will be evolving as we go, because with each iteration, like you said, we'll be learning a lot more, and we'll be tweaking it to also based on player feedback, but not only, also from the experience that we gain actually working on it. Because I know the team has a lot of ideas and not everything always gets pushed into the final version, but with each iteration, we can actually add more, we can change things, we can play around with the format and kind of find the perfect one for us and for the players, of course. So that's Journey. I wonder who will be the character though for this journey. I did
a fun little poll with it, and people were able to understand the characters I meant, even though it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, true. So that's Journey. That's coming tomorrow. How about we also talk about something that will be coming in the future? And we talked about it some time ago, but we've been quiet about it for some time, which is Arena and the update to the Arena mode.
So I can say that there's a significant update being worked on actively right now for Arena. But again, you know, we're working on Journey, we're working on expansions, we're working on things that we're not quite ready to talk about right now, but is fairly substantial. Golden Necker. And so it is moving forward, and I'm trying really hard right now not to put a date on when it'll come, because I want to maybe avoid rushing it out a bit too fast, a bit too early, like Journey, and having it super buggy, and I'm hoping to do it right. What I can say is, I believe the plan right now is to completely demonetize the new Arena. So there will be no barrier to entries, is what we're thinking right now.
Yeah.
The drafting system will be completely redone.
Total overhaul.
it's entering prototype phase right now. So in the very near future, I'll know if the mad science of this drafting algorithm makes any sense. But you know, there's still a long way to go from where we are to where we want to be.
Sure.
And probably similar to Journey, when we do launch the Arena update, there will be like a first version with plans to iterate and improve on it in the future, just so that, you know, you can go into your hands in what is an acceptable state, even though it's missing a lot of bells and whistles that we would like to put in it. So there's no date for it yet, but it is something that we're actively working on right now.
Yeah, true. So let's move into 7.1 then, since we have that out of the way. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about is actually auto milling, and I will jump into the game itself. Because now we have the possibility to choose milling settings. Like we talked about this, I think I made a post on the forums and also on Reddit like 2 weeks ago or something like that, where we kind of gave you 3 options, and these will be coming with 7.1. So there's the premium focus one, where you keep extra copies of cards above your deck limit in order to transmute them into premium versions. And these are recommended for those who want to extend their premium collection, so that's easy, you can choose this option. Then you have the middle one, which is the standard one, which is I think similar to the one we had previously before the milling changes. Yep. So you mill all copies which exceed the deck limit. Premium as well as standard versions will be milled separately. Easy. Yeah. And then the resource focus for those that want a lot of resources. So you mill all extra copies above deck limit with a preference to keep premium versions of cards. Recommended for those looking to quickly obtain resources or to craft more new cards. So you have 3 options.
I think the newest one is a very, very aggressive one, but I think it's nice. I think it's the one that I personally would do, because while I have a bit of a collector in me, I don't want both a standard and a premium collection. If I can have only premiums, I'm fine with that. So, and this is a bit better for those with that mentality. Didn't exist before, so I think that's nice, because milling cards individually sucks.
Exactly.
To be honest.
And you can change these settings at any time, like you saw when I was in the deck builder. So if I choose standard, then I have spare cards to be milled, how much I gain, and I just click awesome. But if I want to change it, you have mill settings in the deck builder where you just click and then you choose again how you want stuff to be milled. So I think it's very, very good, because if you, for example, want to go a little bit more hardcore, you need more resources, then you'll switch to the last one. And then, you know, you can move in between these. However, I think
one thing we eventually want to do is to like add auto milling to keg opening, for example, so you can actually feel that your scraps are growing and progressing as you open kegs and kind of see the duplicates immediately. I don't know when we'll do that, but it is on the list of the big list of things that we'd like to do.
Yep, the list is ever growing. So let's jump into balance changes, because this is the big topic of every patch. And as always, we will have, if you're watching it today, we'll have patch notes coming out today, most likely. And before we get into the nitty-gritty and we go card by card, faction by faction, and neutral, of course, we actually want to talk about something that is coming next month. Jason, take it away.
So actually, like at the beginning of this this update's development cycle, we made a decision to rework a series of leader abilities completely. Yeah. These are abilities that essentially let you play 2 cards in 1 turn. So things like Death Shadow, Tactical Decision, Mystic Echo, Second Wind, Wild Card, Pincer Maneuver, and Call of Harmony. We feel like these abilities are very problematic in the way that our game runs in general, because those abilities, they disrupt the flow of the game, right? Like they allow playing an additional card in a turn, and that really makes them stand out from the other leader abilities. And because they provide bigger flexibility, they can actually pretty easily drown out a lot of the other leader abilities. So it makes it really hard to balance the other leader abilities in, both from our side, but also as a player when deciding which leader ability to use, right? Like Mahakam Forge lets you play 2 cards in 1 turn, but it's only one specific card, so balance-wise, it's a bit easier to work with. Whereas something like Mystic Echo can also play the same special in a turn, but it can play any other special in the turn. So its flexibility is so much higher than Mahakam Forge.
Agreed.
That it can tend to just sort of dwarf that ability, especially if you don't care about the armor. And I think that's a general problem that we get with our leader abilities. And the other problem with balancing sort of these types of leader abilities is their power is so measured by the cards they're able to utilize that even if they're not oppressive or if they're not too strong right now, they kind of limit a bit our ability to make certain cards in general, and they can easily become a problem as we balance or release new content. However, you know, we didn't want to just remove them from the game. We wanted to find new interesting abilities to replace them. They'll have new names, new icons, new stuff. And unfortunately, well, maybe not unfortunately, it started to be quite a bit of work to do for this update. So we decided to postpone it to the next update so we can really think about it, really balance it a bit more and think about it more before we get it out, make sure all the assets are ready, try to avoid some bugs. So this update was like started with reworking these leader abilities in mind, but you know, when we decided to move it, we still wanted to do a significant balance change to things.
Yeah.
So there is quite a lot of balance changes coming that we'll go through later, but they're kind of conditional. Like we'll probably do more once we rework those 7 leader abilities that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Death Shadow, Tactical Decision, Mystic Echo, Second Wind, Wild Card, Pincer Maneuver, and Call of Honda.
Yeah. I remember there was even an idea in order to make it for this update to remove them completely, but we moved away from that idea super quickly. Like removing them from the game without giving anything back would be just bad.
Yeah, and then, you know, the other thing about them is they kind of like remove the risk factor from some of the greedier combo plays in the game, and they really control the round meta in too strong a way. Like if you're playing against Second Wind, you don't want to leave them last say, and there's little wiggle room against that thinking, against that decision, and we think the game will be a lot healthier that way. I know that some of the designers working on this have been playing exclusively without these leader abilities, and when those leader abilities aren't in a match, they feel like it's a pure form of Gwent. It's more fun. So we'll see how that works out, but that's probably coming in the next update. The other thing that we haven't touched yet is the topic of artifact removal. This was actually originally supposed to be for this update. It got moved to being done later so we can focus on the leader abilities because we felt like it was a bigger problem. So I don't know if we'll touch artifact removal in the next update, but it's definitely something we want to tackle this year. Yeah,
it's on our radar and it's something that we want to do something about it. Simple. How's that?
And generally speaking, when we go through these balance changes, most of it is buffing cards. Most, not all. Some things did need to be toned down a little bit.
And reworks.
And, reworking cards that see little play or feel outdated.
Yes.
And I think we have a good first example, yeah?
Yes, and I will move over to the game. And we have Siri. We have all the series. But
the series are getting some love.
We'll start with the normal Siri. Siri Witcher. So yeah, I love this ability. Deploy damage to random enemy units by 1. Whenever you lose a round, return this unit to your hand. This sounds familiar.
There's potential card advantage with this card as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I love that we're coming back to the old ability that Siri had, coming back to your hand if you lose a round.
It's a long non-used ability. It used to be all over the place, especially in the beta, right?
Yeah, I saw it like multiple times. She would run back and forth, and you would just play it to bleed your opponent for a card, and then she would come back, and you would still lose. Oh, it was good. It was good. It was fun. But yeah, there was a point I remember that it was broken for sure.
Yeah, but I think like the community has noticed that Siri has been 3 irrelevant cards for far too long.
Yes,
and with this update, we decided to try and find ways to make her more relevant.
Yeah, this was a topic that always came back. Like everybody was like, Siri, we got to do something about Siri finally. Come on, guys, you've been changing cards. What about Siri? What about her? And
don't forget about my girl.
Yeah, And
let's move on to Siri Nova, maybe?
Nova it is.
Siri Nova goes to 8 power. Provision goes down to 9. And now, boy, if your starting deck does not have cards with provision cost 10 or more, fun playing with deck restrictions, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Resilience, Shield, and Veil. I mean, that's a hard to remove 8-point body that lasts 2 rounds.
True.
Then again, not having over 10 cost provision cards in your deck is a serious trade-off.
True, true, true. Really like this ability, to be honest.
I think it's fun in the sense that it forces you to build a different type of deck. It doesn't necessarily auto-win by itself, but definitely gives you a nice edge to compensate for that deck building.
True, and I like that the team is playing actually with the restrictions. So you need to meet a certain restriction in order for the ability to work, and then you get compensated for that. And I'm a fan of stuff like that. So building a deck around a card is always fun for me.
And finally, we have Siri Dash.
Yep.
Who's getting an increase in provision by 1, but a timer reduction by 1 as well. So you don't have to play her so early in a round to get her value.
Yeah.
Right? She can actually give you a card advantage. So I think with Siri Dash, we like the ability. We just wanted to buff it a little bit, and apparently, we believe the design team believes that reducing the timer by 1 is worthy of 1 provision cost, and it still should be a buff overall. We'll see.
We'll see.
It does mean that you can't combo Siri Nova and Siri Dash together.
That'd be fun.
But you can't, and same thing. You cannot Siri Nova and do the other series, actually, if you look at it. They're both 10.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, both other series are 10 provision.
Yeah.
I think that was probably done intentionally.
For sure. For sure it was. Knowing our team, it was done intentionally.
We're not going to go through all the challenges in the stream. It'll be too long and maybe a bit boring. I can say that neutrals, we have 2 stratagems being buffed. Primordial Dow's getting a small buff. Master Mirror's getting a buff. Living Armor's getting a buff.
Yep. You'll find everything. Yeah, exactly. You'll find everything in the patch notes.
Stealing your thunder.
Nice. I'm totally fine with that. So we move on to monsters now.
Let's move on to monsters.
Let me just.
Corinthia,
yeah? There we go.
I wonder who we did this change for, which combo we did this for. So Corinthia can no longer make a 1 power base copy of a non-monster unit. So that means no more Corinthia living armor, unfortunately.
Good.
And that means no more Corinthia, was it ethereal?
Yeah.
Which I think was a bit problematic for people specifically, and I think it's a bit easier for us in the design space to not allow neutrals. It's the same thing that we've done with quite a few cards, right? Yeah.
That's
there you go. It's a fairly straightforward change. It's probably mostly targeted towards ethereal, but also to, potential future neutral cards.
Exactly.
Gale's provision changed.
There we go.
Ability changed to deploy range, play a Wild Hunt special card from your deck. So I think it was noted that it was a bit hard to play Wild Hunt special cards for the Wild Hunt decks. We felt like the game needed it. We felt like the Wild Hunt archetype needed this card. And I believe we did something similar for raids, which we'll get to later. You want to move on to Imlerith?
Yep, moving on. Just let me type them in. There we go.
So Imlerith has basically taken over Gale's ability. And I think this might feel a bit controversial because the Imlerith as he was playable, right? Like he was in some insectoid decks. It's not like he was a card that needed to be reworked.
Yes.
The reason that we did this is not because we wanted to remove Imlerith's ability from the game. We probably may actually re-add it to the game on a different card. The problem with Imlerith is it wasn't actually synergizing with the Wild Hunt archetype, and we wanted Imlerith to synergize better with it. So by having this ability, he helps a bit with dominance. It helps a bit with the the cycling of the deck, of maybe fixing your hand, which we felt like Wild Hunt needed for a long time. I know not everyone necessarily agrees with that, but that's where we wanted to take Immelrith. We didn't feel like his right deck being an insectoid deck made sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So we probably will at some point bring Immelrith's current ability, the pre 7.1 ability. I'm guessing to an insectoid card at some point. I don't know which one or when, but it is something that may happen. Very likely to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Imlerith for you. And then we have Old Spear Tip, right?
Yeah, he's getting a provision buff from 10 to 9, and we're giving him Veil. I mean, this is nothing significant, but I think it's pretty clear at this point that Old Spear Tip was an example of a card that got power creep really hard. And I don't think this change makes him anywhere near an auto include for monsters, but, you know, it's still a pretty meaty boy with Veil for 9 provisions. I think some monster decks can find a really good spot for him.
I agree.
It won't hurt as much, so I think it's a healthy change. Will it revolutionize monsters? I don't think so, but I think it's good.
Yep. Old Sleepy Boy. And that's it for monsters, right?
That's monsters. Yeah. Nothing else for monsters.
So we move on to the controversial Skellige.
Skellige, the thing that people are tired of seeing everywhere. You guys can just not play Skellige, you know, all as a community, and then we're fine.
Yeah.
And then no one's upset. There definitely was some balance needed in Skellige. We did a first patch. It was pretty aggressive. I think some people still think it's a bit of an issue, while others, I think, are not seeing the issue, especially at the higher levels of play. But still, we wanted to do a bit of a pass. Yeah. I think for Herald, the main difference we did was we give Doomed now. Right? Is that
yes. Yes. And then we have also changed to Warmonger and Harold the Cripple, of course.
Yes, but it's, I think, all Dooms change.
Yes, all Dooms change.
So now whenever Herald resurrects a unit gives Doomed, it's just kind of consistent with the way we're handling resurrects in the game in general. Yeah.
So it doesn't get out of hand simply.
Yeah, it just prevents you from juggling the same card 3 times, which can feel a bit oppressive.
Yeah.
And you can always purify the Doom.
True.
I think I did a stream once with the Siegfried deck, and have you seen the full screen effect of Siegfried that purifies everything?
Yeah. Looks beautiful.
That's so cool.
Nice.
Next card, I think, yeah?
Yeah. Vabjorn. Or Vabjorn.
So Vabjorn would be the new raid tutor for Skellige.
Yeah.
There's quite a few raids in Skellige, actually, so I think it'll be really nice for them to have a way of consistently playing raids. I think this card will definitely seek that.
No.
I think pretty much all our special tutors seek raid. They're generally good cards.
Exactly. And then we have a change to Second Wind. Yeah.
So even though Second Wind will probably be removed from the game with 7.2, not the upcoming update, but the one after, we still felt like it needed to be addressed a bit more for this update. We changed him from 11 to 12, so we buffed his provisions by 1, but we capped his resurrection target to be provision 9 or less.
Provision 9 or less, exactly.
I believe I saw this even suggested by people in the community. I think we like to change, at least as a temporary solution to these types of cards. And there you go. That's what we did.
Exactly. Okay. Now, Tirgvi.
Yeah, another bit of a controversial one, depending on how you feel about Rupture. So we basically nerfed Rupture, but we also increased Tirgvi's base power from 4 to 5. Now it'll be damaging unit by its base power instead of current power, which is a pretty significant nerf, actually. I think we'll just have to wait and see if it's too strong a nerf or what we want to do with it. Will it still see play after this? It's hard to say. And we'll see.
Yeah.
Other than that, I believe we also buff, nerf, buff. Mostly, no, half, no, buff.
Svalbard Priest,
A few bronzes, and we added Druid category to Artis and Svalbard Priest.
Yeah, and provision change for Svalbard Priest from 65.
So I think Svalbard Priest was nerfed because of how prevalent it was in Skellige for a long time. It was too auto-include. But I think with all the new tools that Skellige has, its ability to go deeper in different archetypes, it's not as necessary as it once was. So let's see how this small buff. Wow. Yeah, let's see how this one provision buff affects the Skellige meta.
Yep. And that's gonna be it for Skellige.
Yeah.
So we can move on to NR.
Full patch notes will reveal, I believe, the other 5 changes we're doing to Skellige bronzes.
Yeah.
But they're all power provision tweaks.
So Queen Adalia, this is who we start with for Northern
She's
Realms.
getting a 1 provision buff, but she's getting similar treatment to not be able to play a neutral card.
Exactly.
So, I think this is pretty significant. I think in the sense that there are decks that were relying on creating a copy of a bronze neutral card, right? So that will no longer be possible.
Yeah. Exactly. And then we
Just
have...
following our general design pattern, right?
Exactly. And then should we talk about Visagard?
Yeah, Visagard. Visagard.
Visagard.
Formation. Yeah, we took formation off him. I know some people will probably be upset or not understand this change or not like it. Because formation is a really cool keyword. We like formation. I think formation is a really well-designed keyword. It gives you flexibility in decision-making. But the reality is Visagard's too strong in general. Like, his point potential is high, and the ability to pull off that point potential is really high. And even though we like formation, all the really good Northern Realms order ability cards have formation. Not all, but, you know, Bloody Baron, Prince. And it devalues other Northern Realm cards that have Zeal, including the old Full Test Leader ability, too much. So we've thought that even though this might add a bit too much risk-reward to Visagard, I think he'll still be quite playable.
He will be playable, for sure.
I think you have cards like Vess or other Zeal Givers in Northern Realms that can compensate for this, and all of a sudden they become interesting tech choices. So Vess, for example, is getting a 1 provision buff.
From 8 to 7.
From 8 to 7. So I think Visagard needs to be knocked down a peg a little bit. But definitely... we'll have to see if it kills the card, but it was almost auto-included in a lot of Northern Realms decks, and I agree. I think that needed to change a little bit. I think there needs to be a bit more risk to it.
Yeah, another change for him is he got the soldier category, and it wasn't only him because also Raynor Dodo got it, Kadwani Cavalry, and Kadwani Knight.
So we added a few new soldiers.
Yeah. And I like that Kadwani Cavalry no longer has Knight category.
Yeah, that's a fun little detail.
Yeah.
The cavalry are not knights; they're just peasants with spears on holsters. I think other than that, there's 4 bronze Northern Realms buffs. They're minor. Again, you can catch those in the patch notes.
Exactly. And with that, we move on to Scoia'tael.
I don't think we wanted to do anything major in Scoia'tael. We definitely paid a bit more focus on dwarves in general. So Mahakam Volunteers now properly summons all copies. Pyro Technician now has 2 armor. I'm just going to go through these very quick. They're all minor.
They're all minor, yeah.
Guard power change from 2 to 3. Dwarven Agitator change from 2 to 3. Saboteur from 5 to 4. So I think this is a bit of a hand buff.
Head buff.
And generally a small dwarven buff, and we'll see. Probably we might do a bit more Scoia when we change Mystic Echo and Hollow Pump.
Yeah, I think that'll be the time to work on some changes for them. So that's it for Scoia'tael. a little.
I'm not promising anything, but I would suspect that probably will be more comfortable doing more once that happens.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So quickly, also, I think we can go through Nilfgaard.
Yeah. Again, very, very small minor changes. I think people might have expected us to address double ball right now, but I think the double ball problem has, while still being discussed, has died down quite a bit. It's not as prevalent as a problem, and we're not quite sure we want to touch it yet. And we're not quite sure we want to do anything drastic for it yet. Probably when we start tackling artifact removal a bit more aggressively, either in the next updates of 7.2 or the one after that, 7.3, we may touch it a bit more, but I'm not sure we're going to touch it before that.
Yeah.
But for now, Hero Brigade gets a 1 provision buff from 65, and Fire Scorpion gets a buff from 3 to 4 power.
Yeah. That's it.
And that's it. That's actually it. There's no other changes from Nilfgaard.
Yeah. The mighty empire of Nilfgaard is truly mighty.
So I think we're on to Syndicate. Syndicate's a funny faction in the sense that it very easily goes to the top of the meta or to the very bottom of the meta through minor changes. Like, it's a very fragile faction right now, I find, just because every time we do minor changes to it, or you know, we target one card, it becomes hard to do much with it. So I think this will be the faction we touch the most with this with this update. I'm not sure, but I think it's got the most changes. No. Let's start with the Grandmaster, maybe.
Okay, I have Jack the Miraculous Child open right now, so because you cannot see my screen, so
no, but they're all the same. That's for the Grandmaster.
Yeah.
So he gets a fee 1 boost self by 1, which I think is amazing for Syndicate to have such a flexible card. You know, you can always run into a problem with Syndicate where you don't have someone to spend those coins, right? Spenders, a fee 1 spender is always nice to have. And in his ultimate form, whenever you play a Firesworn card, gain 1 coin, which you immediately have a spender on it if you don't have another one. So might end up kind of auto-included on a lot of Syndicate decks. And I think that makes him a bit better than he is right now.
Yep,
and I think he's quite playable outside of Fireswarm decks too.
He is too.
So I think that's pretty good for Syndicate, and we'll see how that goes. That's a small change. Swindle, I think, was a really fun change. You want to open up Swindle?
Yeah, give me a sec. Swindle. There we go.
So we've improved Swindle. It went from profit 3 to 6, I think, to 4 to 6, reducing its variance, so it's a little less random. And I really like this change where for each allied crown splitters, increase minimal amount by 1. What this means is you kind of can actually play around the RNG entirely.
Yeah.
Well, if you have 2 crown splitters on the board, it's a profit 6. And I think that makes Swindle a much more interesting and potentially viable card compared to what we have right now.
Exactly.
Generally, I believe most of the small changes that you can see in the patch notes will be like little buffs. You know, like Casino Bouncers going from 6 to 5. So Casino Bouncers are a bit more relevant to put in. Very similar to Imperial Brigade, right?
Exactly.
So I think hopefully this should add a bit more tools to make a consistently good Syndicate deck. I don't know if we'll reach it with this update, but it's definitely something that we want to achieve. It's not like Syndicate is make or break off 1 or 2 really strong core cards.
So
moving on, Safecracker?
Safecracker, yeah.
So I think like Safecracker was a card that was a bit hard to get value from. I really like it right now. So it has Intimidate. So every time you play a crime, he gets boosted by 1. And for every crime in your deck, he boosts up by 1 and deploy. So let's say you have 4 crimes in your hand. you play the Safecracker, you get +4. Then you play those 4 crimes, you get another +4. I think that's a pretty good bronze for a crime deck. And I think crime decks needed a bit more support like this.
Agreed. Yeah.
The Intimidate archetype as a whole needed a bit more of a card like this. I think it's a bit hard to get value off Intimidates normally, and this makes it a little less risky. That's a pretty good tempo play to get that extra boost per crime play. And I think there's one more change in Syndicate I thought worth discussing, and that's Hidden Cash. The leader ability that rose to the top of the game and then got crushed back into irrelevance. We're nerfing its provision from 15 to 14, but we're increasing the coins you can get per round from 2 to 3. So I think 3 extra coins from this leader ability for 1 provision is easily arguable as a buff.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it makes Hidden Cash a bit more playable. I think one thing that you'll notice in the rest of the patch notes is we've reduced the horde requirements on a few cards, actually. So I think it even Lieutenant von Hurst has a reduced horde cost from 5 to 4. So I think with Hidden Cash and some improvements on a few horde cards, Hidden Cash has potential to re-enter the meta.
Yeah, same for Mutant Killer. Also, horde reduced from 5 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think this should, if not bring Syndicate to where we want it, bring it in the direction that we want it to be a bit more balanced with the other things.
Exactly. And then we just have power and provision changes also for Syndicate.
Yeah.
And that's it.
10 minor changes, some of which we discussed.
Guess we
all right. Then. What's next? What are we going to talk about? What have we missed?
Actually, I want to talk about. I will switch back to us. I want to talk about the products that are expiring with the patch. So, all the Master Mirror launch products are going away. So this is your last chance to get them because tomorrow they will not be available anymore. And these are the Master Mirror Bundle, the Master Mirror Premium Kegs, Temptation Pack, and the Twisted World board, which is
We're going to remove the Twisted World board. Oh no, I love that board.
Me too. Same goes for seasonal products. So the Griffin card pack, School of Griffin bundle, and the Sheep bundle. The Sheep bundle is important. I love the Sheep bundle. It's awesome. It's like all for laughs. But we will have new products coming into the game tomorrow. And actually, I can give you a sneak peek of the Ice bundle, which you can see now. And it's amazing.
I can see it.
Yeah, but they can see it. I can see it. So it's the one with Mr. Demavent, and very cool board here that you can see.
Did we manage to make his head translucent?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, it's.
I think originally we wanted him holding his head, like a headless rider.
He's chewing on some grapes, but at the bottom you can see his head. Fun. Yeah, so that is...
what the skin references. Watch the trailer for Witcher 2.
Exactly.
And that king in that trailer is our boy Demavent, yeah?
Yep. So that is the one you will be able to see tomorrow. And of course, this contributes to Gwent Open number 3. So the proceeds from this pack, or some of the proceeds, will go to the prize pool for Open number 3, which is happening this month, end of this month.
August, right?
Yes, end of August, last weekend of August. Moving on, we also will have faction packs will be updated to contain evolving cards from the Master Mirror expansion. And the Syndicate faction pack will follow the same thing and will now contain 5 faction kegs, faction border, and Jacques de Aldersberg evolving card.
I think there's a caveat here. If I'm not mistaken, maybe you know if I'm wrong here. It's not that we're changing these products. We're removing the existing faction packs and adding a new set of faction packs, where the guaranteed legendary is changing to be the evolving cards from the Master Mirror.
Yes, exactly.
And for the first time, Syndicate, I think we're removing the Syndicate starter deck.
Yes.
And we're instead doing a Syndicate faction pack, which is again Syndicate kegs plus a guaranteed specific gold card, which is Jacques.
Jacques, yes, and the faction border in that. And then, of course, seasonal products, because we have a start of the new season. And yeah, that's it. I mean, patch is coming tomorrow. Patch notes are coming still today. And yeah, we recorded this in advance, so you're watching what we already recorded and talked about. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. It was fun. Jason, always a pleasure. And we will see you, in the next one. We'll be doing this on a monthly basis, as always. Any last closing statements, Jason, or anything you want to pass on, anything you want to say? Enjoy the silence. It's a elven ambush.
I want to say that, you know, I know we don't always get things perfectly right, and you know, we have some buggy times, but I just want to reiterate that, you know, the development team really has a lot of passion and really cares and is really trying to give you guys awesome content as best as possible. We're always open to hearing your feedback. We want to grow this game with you. Just remember that we're people, and not to eviscerate us too strongly. We make mistakes and we try to learn from them, and you know, we appreciate all the passion and cooperation and you know, feedback you guys give us.
Exactly.
We purposely don't give a really detailed roadmap with everything that has coming to you guys, because we don't want to lock ourselves in releasing things at a specific time and really get screwed by trying to achieve these goals that are set before we're ready. So I know it can be a bit frustrating to see maybe the rhythm isn't the way that you wanted it, and you can't really see why. We're doing a lot of really cool things behind the scenes. We're trying to prepare some really awesome content for you guys. It just needs a bit of time. So, you know,
all right.
We keep moving forward. Thanks you guys for playing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us.
Exactly.
Have a great August.
Exactly.
The Draconid mode is back, by the way. We didn't even freaking mention that, and I think that was really popular last year.
Yeah, Draconid was very cool.
Now all your journey things for the first month. Go play that seasonal 8-second turn. It's 8 seconds.
Yeah, it's 8 exactly.
Woo! That's some
gonna be fun.
Speedy. So enjoy the season of the Draconid, everyone.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Thank you, Jason. Take care. Bye.
Bye.